By source, we mean the origin. We use the following terms to describe diegetic or non-diegetic, on-screen or off-screen, internal or external. Diegetic sound originates from a source within a film's world. The characters can hear it, and it includes all of the sounds that accompany everyday actions and speech depicted on screen. Footsteps, a knock on a door, the ring of a telephone, ordinary dialogue, etc. This should be easy to remember since we talked about diegetic elements when we discussed plot. Non-diegetic sound comes from a source outside the world of the film. The characters cannot hear it. The most common forms are musical scores and narration that is spoken by a voice that does not come from a character on the screen. On-screen sound comes from a source we can see. Off-screen sound comes from a source that we do not see. It can be either diegetic or non-diegetic. Asynchronous sound falls somewhere between on-screen and off-screen. It is a sound that is closely related to the action but not precisely synchronized with it, or a sound that either anticipates or follows the action to which it belongs. Because we cannot see its source, it seems mysterious and raises our curiosity and expectations. Thus it offers creative opportunities for building tension and surprise in a scene. You can listen to an example of asynchronous sound embedded into eCampus after this lesson. Internal sound is when we hear the thoughts of a character. External sound comes from a place within the world of the story and all the characters can hear it. Types of film sound include vocal sounds, environmental sounds, music, and silence. Vocal sounds include dialogue and narration. Dialogue is the speech of the characters who are either visible on screen or speaking off screen. Expressing the feelings and motivations of characters, dialogue is one of the principal means of telling a story. Narration is the commentary spoken by either off-screen or on-screen voices. It can originate from a character in the film or from an omniscient voice. Environmental or ambient sound emanates from the background of the setting or environment being filmed. It may include dialogue, music, and sound effects. For example, if a character is walking down a busy street, the buses, people, boombox of another character, chatter of the other characters, this would all be environmental. For a character at the beach, we might hear seagulls, the sound of waves, a kid swimming in the distance, etc. Music can be intrinsic in helping to tell the story, whether it pertains to plot, action, character, or mood. It can set a mood or manipulate our emotions. It can create or support ideas in a film. Irony often results from the juxtaposition of music and image. They're an example of this in eCampus after this lesson. It can enhance pace or tempo. Many directors use music to provide overall structural unity or coherence to a story. They do this by using the same musical motif, but changing it to suit the particular scene. You will pay particular attention to this in your viewing of Requiem for a Dream. Silence can be sound. A filmmaker can deliberately suppress the vocal, environmental, or musical sounds we expect. When this is done, it frustrates our normal perceptions and can make a scene seem profound or even prophetic. Furthermore, with careful interplay between sound and silence, a filmmaker can produce a new rhythm for the film. The functions of film sound. Primarily, sound helps the filmmakers tell a movie's story and create a mood. It also makes us aware of the spatial and temporal dimensions. Sounds can create expectations. In a scene between a man and a woman in which you hear quiet music, the sounds of their movements, and the sound of moving clothing, you might expect intimacy. However, in a similar scene in which the characters are not moving and you cannot hear their clothes, instead you hear the harsh sound of traffic, you might expect something other than intimacy. When a sound signals an action and is repeated, it plays on our expectations. In the movie Jaws, for example, the first time the shark is going to appear, we hear the shark motif. From then on, every time it is repeated, that shark is around. The filmmakers also trick us sometimes, using the motif, creating suspense, and then not having the shark appear. Sound can add rhythm to a scene. It can also accompany or be juxtaposed against movement on the screen. Sound can function as a part of characterization. In Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein, when one of the characters is first mentioned, horses rear on their hind legs and whinny. It becomes clear in context that she is so ugly and intimidating that even horses can't stand to hear her name. Musical themes often identify characters occurring and reoccurring on the soundtrack as the characters make their entrances and exits on the screen. Sound can link one shot to the next. Overlapping sound carries the sound from first shot over to the next shot before the sound of the second shot begins. The director uses sound to direct our attention to where he or she wants it to be or to strengthen a particular visual image. Sound is both the easiest and hardest element to analyze. Because we are familiar with how music creates a mood, we may miss the other functions that it plays in a film score. For this reason, it is very important to pay very close attention to the connection between the sound and the images on the screen. This concludes our lesson on sound.